Sports on Tap. I'm Rob Troutman. We have Sean Duffy, Ed Dick. Josh Jeffy is out on assignment. And now joining us, he is the Orange Lions high school hockey head coach, Brandon Wadowitz. Brandon, thanks for joining us tonight.
Thanks for having me tonight.
I know it was a little bit of a drive for you, but he still has a smile on his face, and he's ready to talk a little high school hockey.
Yep, all the way out from the pond.
Yep. Nothing wrong with that.
Nope.
Talk a little bit about your season so far this year. You guys have been on a little bit of a roll, and pretty impressive start to the season.
Yeah, very good. 13-1 overall, 6-0 in the White South. We won our 12th straight game last night against Chagrin Falls in an overtime game. But since the first tournament of the year, we lost to North Olmsted. Really kind of kept the train moving in the right direction. I think the leadership on the team, the seniors and juniors we have really led the charge on that, and certainly great goaltending and great team play.
Yeah, you guys have only you're returning 11 letter winners from last year.
Correct.
I mean, how important has that been for you guys to maintain your momentum from last year and coming into this year?
It's been huge. I mean, and to be honest, at the beginning of last year, it was a 2-year plan with this team. We had 0 Letterman seniors last year. We had 1 new player who was a senior last year, but really it was all juniors last year, junior sophomores. So it was a 2-year plan to win a Barron Cup in the next 2 years. Unfortunately, last year we lost Zach Cohen the first game of the year to an MCL injury. Kind of derailed the whole season, but I think the off-season program with the leadership we had, they were determined from May of last year to kind of come in and be ready to go and prevent slow starts. I think that's been our Achilles heel in previous years, kind of starting slow and then having to pick it up. So it's been a really good start to the season so far.
Well, who are some of the other senior or juniors from last year that are seniors now that are, for lack of a better term, standing out as far as either from maybe a staff perspective or leadership role?
Both. Certainly our 3 captains, Zach Cohen, Scott Hill, and Jake Sonkin, all senior captains, all 2-year captains. They were elected captains as juniors last year, and so really kind of goes into that 2-year plan where we were committed as a group. They've been leading the charge, obviously, stats-wise. Jake with 31 points this year, Scott with 29, Zach with 21, all kind of leading the charge. And then, adding into that group, Justin Beechler as a junior. He's our leading scorer this year, 20 goals, 12 assists, 20 goals from the blue line as well. He's a defenseman for us, so kind of really leading the charge.
Going into the season, you mentioned it was a 2-year plan with this team, and you kind of maybe knew coming back this year, you knew what you had in some players. Mm-hmm. Is there anybody that maybe surprised you or maybe turned it on a little bit coming into this year after last year's success or after last year's season?
Certainly, yeah. First, you can't overlook Pablo Garcia. It's only his second year playing hockey. He's an all-state linebacker for Orange. Just picked up playing hockey last year. Was lacrosse and football. Has 2 goals, 2 goals, 8 assists this year. Scored the tying goal yesterday. So guys like that. Tommy Hill, sophomore. He was a freshman last year, really a role player, but has really kind of stepped up. Senior Mark Siegel, guys that in previous years were in role player situations, not getting that much ice time, kind of thrust up. But certainly, you can't overlook Danny Moore as a freshman. He stepped in our 3rd game of the year for a goalie that was Max Rexton, who was our 2-year starter. And he's won 11 games in a row, and we've kind of changed our team makeup. Max is now skating out for us. He's a very good, offensive player, so we're really trying to maximize the roster that we have and, make sure that we're fully equipped going into the Barron Cup.
Yes. Sorry, go ahead, Rob.
No, I was going to ask you about your offense. I see some players that have taken 160 shots. Obviously the offense must be working pretty nicely for you this year. And what have you made changes from last year's team to this year's team, or have you consistently stayed with the same offense that these players understand where they need to be? Because 160 shots, and then I see somebody else that has 126 shots.
Oh, yeah.
That's pretty impressive.
So, and certainly the top, Justin, Jake, Scott, Zach. I mean, you could see the shot totals, the point totals. They lead the charge. 2 of them are defensemen, 2 are offense. But the offense really hasn't changed. I mean, same power play group as last year, which has helped us out. I know we've struggled a little bit this year, but yeah, it really helped in the off season to You say you don't want to start off at square one every year. I mean, we were at square 50. We were, we knew the forecheck, the defensive zone, kind of some of these things were already on the board and ready to go in August. We didn't have to really implement anything or really teach the kids anything new. We were ready to go.
Now, you mentioned last year you were setting up a 2-year plan for last year's juniors. Mm-hmm. How are you guys set up for the years? Coming.
We're Orange. Certainly, the numbers are always an issue every year. Yeah. We don't carry a JV team. We don't have a 20-person roster. We have, I think, 3 freshmen this year, some sophomores and juniors. So we have a crew, and I know we have 7th, 6th graders. We stay visible to our pipeline coming out of local programs like Shaker and Gilmore on the east side. So we have players coming in. But I think, this group of seniors was my first group. I didn't have freshmen my first year at Orange. So, but I think they've been ready for this for a few years. And I think last year we probably could have made some hay, if not for a couple injuries early in the year. But I think they're certainly ready. But certainly, we have you look at Danny Moore as a freshman goaltender. I mean, if you're going to build a young team in the next few years to have a solid rock like him in net, it'll help you develop players, in front of him. Even, for instance, the last few years we've at least added 2 new players, new to hockey. And just, we need to add numbers and bodies, and obviously these kids are eager and ready to learn to play hockey. And as Jimmy said before me, and Eddie as well, I mean, we're not blessed with tons of numbers. And so when we get the best athlete who's a lacrosse player or a football player, and he says, I want to try hockey as a sophomore, and we say, come on, let's get you equipment and let's go.
Right.
Now, your youth programs, do you have a lot of youth programs? Because we talk about this with every coach, that it seems like the numbers are tough to turn out. Yep.
How
do you kind of change that mentality? Do you just put flyers out through the school or talk to kids?
Well, we don't have a specific youth program at Orange, unlike maybe Shaker or Cleveland Heights, who has a youth program connected. We're loosely affiliated, obviously, with the Pond and Geauga. Mm-hmm. We play out of the Pond. Shaker Heights, Cleveland Skating Club, Gilmore, a lot of East Side programs. We stay connected. We do an event at the Pond called Try Hockey for Free, which is a youth kind of grassroots type initiative to get kids interested in hockey. And we stay connected with the youth programs. Obviously, we have a lot of kids who have brothers, and all of us, most of us who coached, we were all. I used to coach at Shaker and Bantams and Pee Wees, and so we're familiar with the youth programs and who's coming our way. But being at Orange, we're restricted by our borders, and we get the kids that we get, and even sometimes we'll lose kids to US or Gilmore or other East Side schools. But we take the best with what we have and try to develop them and do the best.
You were talking a little bit about Danny Moore. He's a freshman. Has he played hockey pretty much his whole life?
Oh, yeah. And I believe he came, don't quote me, I think he came from either Gilmore or Shaker.
Okay.
I'm sure he'll roast me on Thursday. But yeah, I mean, it certainly came in this year intending to be our backup goalie, but took the opportunity early in the year. And really, we haven't lost since we put him in. It was the 3rd game of the year. And, to be 11-0 with a 1.76 goals against, really it gives you the flexibility to be, like you said, an offensive-minded team at times. Certainly, we know that our ultimate goal is to win a Barron Cup, and we need to be a defensive-oriented team, built around goaltending in order to do that. But he's a great asset to have right now, and obviously the future is super bright for him. Going from even this season, his first exhibition game, I think he let in 7 or 8 goals against Benedictine. So we know now that it was probably nerves of his first high school game.
Just get it out of your systems at that point.
Get it all out. And
absolutely.
I think since then he's let up, 14, 16, 19 goals since.
248 shots.
Games.
I mean.
Yeah.
He's really been a blessing for us this year.
One question I always ask a team that's on a roll like yours is, how do you continue that focus, especially coming into the meat of your schedule now? Really trying to get that, probably lock up a top seed into the Barron Cup and win the Barron Cup. Is that something that you find difficult to do as a coach?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, certainly I don't look at the records, and as far as the Barron Cup, certainly we want to qualify and get into the tournament. But we know from previous years, red division, white division, blue division, it doesn't matter if you're a 1 or an 8 seed.
Right.
It's a single elimination tournament. I've always kind of preached to my teams on peaking late in the year. I think we have a big challenge ahead of us here that we've peaked I wouldn't say we've peaked already, but we're in the process. Yeah, we're getting there. I think it's just about playing the game the right way the next month. I think we have a senior and junior oriented team. They know when we're playing good and when we're not, what to do and what not to do. So really just keep that moving forward. Hopefully stay injury free here the next couple months, and keep all of our, we're not blessed with 3 or 4 lines like some of the big Great Lakes teams. But really, I said, built around Danny, built around playing good defense. As you guys said, we have plenty of offense and potency. But regardless, you get to Brooklyn in February, and a lot of those games are 2-1, 3-2. They get tight, and you're very familiar with the teams, and you're not gonna, we're not getting anything by Benedictine or Chagrin Falls. They know exactly who we are and what we're bringing. So.
Yeah, and the next game I see in your guys' schedule, sans maybe a tournament coming up, maybe this week that we don't see.
We're in the Ernfeld Strongsville tournament this weekend in Strongsville. So we're playing Sycamore, Beaver Creek, and Ghana Lincoln. So teams from Columbus, Cincinnati, and Toledo. So.
Very nice. It'll be a good opportunity for your team to stack up, to see where you stack up with some other teams in the program.
Absolutely, yeah. We've been in this tournament the last couple of years. We lost in the championship game last year, so it's nice for us to get out and play teams from outside of Cleveland. But I think, as you guys said, we just want to keep it moving in the right direction. We know it's a short season. It's already, January 8th today.
Yeah.
Barron Cup, I think, opening day is a month from today. I think
28 days
today,
according to the website.
So yeah, it's keep that moving, and then certainly you said we have some big games coming up at the end. We play at the Q on January 17th, I think.
Yeah, absolutely.
Against Normandy. A big in-building game against Kenston. That's an exhibition game, but we brush them every day. We practice side by side, all week. And Kenston and Orange have had a good history, old CVC rivals back in the day when they used to have CVC tournaments. So, but really, the focus is the Barron Cup and making sure that we're hitting on all cylinders going into February.
Yeah, I mean, you look at the South, in which you're in, in the white division. You're at 6-0. You have Canfield at 4-2, Benedictine's at 3-3, NDCL at 3-2, and then Chagrin Falls at 1-5, and Brecksville at 0-5. But then you look at the North. Amherst and Olmsted Falls are both at 5-1, and Bay's at 4-2.
Yeah.
So it's Avon 2-4, and Parma Senior at 1-3, Westlake 0-6. But it's very competitive, the North and the South divisions. How do you stack up, you think, with the North when you look at teams like Amherst and Olmsted Falls right there?
Certainly good. We certainly keep an eye on the other side because when it comes to Barron Cup, you cross over and you have to play them. We played Olmsted Falls early in the year and tied them in an exhibition game. We've seen them in a few tournaments. I think we stack up well on both sides. But like I said, even looking at our last few games, overtime wins against Benedictine and Chagrin in league. There's no blowouts in our league. Rarely, maybe you get a lopsided game here or there, but most of these teams, especially ones who are qualifying for the Barron Cup, they know each other well. They're probably playing each other for at least a third, maybe fourth, fifth, sixth time. If we drew Benedictine, that would be the 6th time we play them in the Barron Cup.
Wow.
So, I say you're not getting anything by them. They know exactly who your top players are and what you're bringing. But yeah, I think certainly, we're not intimidated by any team on the north or south, but certainly we respect every single team.
The thing I've noticed, both with the Twinsburg team we just talked with, and your guys' squad, major improvements as far as the differential between goals for and goals against. Last year overall, you're on the you scored 84, gave up 95. This year, you've completely flipped that. I think a lot of it has to do with the fact that your juniors have matured into seniors, but also if you have a Stonewall back there and Danny Moore.
It's coach's best friend.
I get that. That's such an impressive differential there.
Sure. And I mean, certainly we played Twinsburg on Saturday night, and they're one tough team. They're going to be. Twinsburg and Avon Lake. We played Avon Lake twice this year already from the Blue Division. I mean, there are some real good teams in the Blue Division that are. I think that Blue Division Barron Cup's going to be fun. But I think. Having that goaltender to solidify a back line and cover for mistakes that you happen to make. But like I said, kids getting older, I think our system being ingrained in them from last year, that we were able to kind of, hit the ground running and really put a lot of offense on the board.
Well, Sean always gave chocolate milk for great performances.
Danny
Moore, I mean, he'd have to back up a
truck,
I think.
Yeah. I mean, just looking at these stats, it's from a guy. I mean, obviously he knows the game. He's been playing it since he was young. But to just these stats alone, the 1.76 average, that's pretty good. I mean,
it's not bad.
I'm not a hockey statistician, but a 92% save percentage. Yes. I think it makes any coach look like a genius.
Yeah. Well, and lately it's it's not just been the stats and the numbers. It's been the timely saves. Certainly winning games against Benedict and Chagrin, Twinsburg. It was a 1-0 game in the third period. So it's not just the volume, but I think the late third period saves. He made a big one last night in overtime against Chagrin. It would have been a backdoor game winner in overtime, and we turned it around and won the game 45 seconds later. So it's just those types of big plays that could it's the difference between first and a second place in a Barron Cup.
Well, Coach, we appreciate you coming on.
Absolutely.
No, it wasn't a close drive for you, but we appreciate you coming on tonight and talking a little hockey.
Appreciate it. Thanks for having us.
That's head coach of the Orange Lions, Brandon Wadowitz, joining us tonight on Sports on Tap. Talk a little Greater Cleveland High School Hockey League hockey. Right now we'll step away, we'll take a short break, and when we come back, we'll talk a little Cleveland Heights hockey with head coach Eddie Babcock. Right when we come back, we're Sports on Tap, part of the NEO Sports Insiders Network.